Hello guys, it's me, Greed here. Big news for the unemployed today is Overwatch is getting its newest Chinese twink, Wuyang. We're going to look at his abilities in his trailer and analyze to see if he's going to be epic or not. So first thing with Wuyang is his staff that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but it fires a damaging water orb. You actually see this in the trailer. The way it works is, I assume you hold left click, and during the entire duration that you're holding left click, it's got forward momentum, but you're able to control it left, right, up, and down to angle it to where it needs to go. I believe, I don't know what the damage numbers of it are. I don't know if it's got some kind of like aimbot to it. I initially thought when I was looking at it, it had some kind of auto aim feature. That might not end up being true. That may be true. But, for example, because Ralph might watch this, you stinky little... Right, anyway. The reason I don't like aimbot kind of abilities isn't because I have some, like... I'm like a gatekeeper. I'm like, you shouldn't be able to play this game without some level of mechanical skill. I don't like that. It's that... it removes the degree of human error that I believe makes the game interesting. If you just make it really easy to land, that's not the same as giving an aimbot. When you make it really easy to land, there is still some skill check required. Even if it's extremely minimal, there is always going to be a degree of human error. But if you make it auto-aim, the only degree of error that's applicable is if the game bugs, which I don't find very interesting. I find it more interesting when there is more human control over the elements of the game, because that just provides a better experience, in my opinion. I think it's just simply more fun when there's more opportunity to capitalize on human error. So the next part of his kit is this restorative stream. You would have seen this a little bit when I was showcasing the left clicks. I think it kind of works a bit like a mercy beam, a little bit. Place a passive healing stream onto an ally. Hold on the target manually to heal an improved rate consuming resource. So I would imagine you can like attach the beam to someone and the beam sticks to that guy the whole time. But then when you hold the healing button down, it will suck your resources and will heal them at an improved rate. I actually quite like Relth numbers on this. Relth predicted that the numbers would be, the passive heal is about 30 or 35 healing per second, and the boosted healing would be about 75, 80 or so. I think those would be pretty healthy numbers, depending on the amount of resource he has and how he gets the resources back, but it'll be impossible for us to know until the test, which I believe it should be a couple of hours after this video comes out. So now for his cooldowns, we have Guardian Wave and Rushing Torrent. Guardian Wave, send a water wave forward that increases the amount of healing received by allies and knockbacks enemies. And Rushing Torrent, ride water to move faster and jump higher. So starting with Guardian Wave, you'll see it here as I'm playing it, but it essentially just applies Ana's nade, I think you would call it. That increased amount of healing received given to allies when Ana's nade hits them. So a couple of things about this ability that has me a little bit concerned. Firstly, it's the UI. It's got the exact same UI as Ana's nade, the increased healing from the nade, but if the numbers are different, it might cause a little bit of confusion where you see that passive applied to the enemy team and you don't know if that's Ana nade or wave used. Hopefully those numbers are the same so you don't run into a complication like that, but for those numbers to be the same, Wuyang's actual healing output is going to have to be way more fine-tuned to make the 50% okay. And that's just kind of a balance task I'm not sure the Overwatch team is really capable of, but hopefully they figure it out. I'm sure they'll do at least a good enough job for it to not be absolutely game-breaking, and they care a lot about the UI, so if it ends up getting to the point where they have to change the numbers, I'm sure they'll probably add a different effect, but I don't know. I would like there to be different UI depending on the amount of healing received by that person, but you never know. Maybe it will remain the same, maybe it won't. The next thing is the knockback on the enemies. I'm just wondering if the knockback on the enemies is going to be good enough to justification to use that aggressively instead of applying the extra healing to your team, if you know what I mean, right? So depending on the cooldown length, depending on the amount of knockback, depending on the amount of healing, it's all going to determine whether or not the cooldown is used like an Ana nade, where there is a lot of 50-50 decision making, where in some cases it's really good to throw it on your tank, heal your tank up. Sometimes it's really good to use it defensively, put it on yourself to heal yourself up. Sometimes means it's really good to throw it aggressively and apply it to the enemy tanks to give your tank increased pressure. Or maybe it's really good to throw it onto your other support, or someone flanking, or a DPS on an angle, right? There's so many use cases for an Annonade that allows it to be so strong, because there are so many applications of it that no matter where you put it, you're losing out on something, right? Which I find really interesting design. Is it going to be the same case for Wuyang, where the boop is good enough to justify not using it to permanently heal bot your front line? And it's also going to depend on the cooldown length. If, for example, if it's 6-7 seconds or so, it's probably going to have some level of dynamic use where you're able to use it aggressively to boop, and then retreat, wait a little bit, and then use it to keep your team up. But if it's any longer than that, if it's a 10, 11, 12 second cooldown, it's likely just going to be pure heal bot usage, no aggressive usage at all, because you're really just going to be forced into waiting for that opportunity to arise where you need the cooldown, and because it's so long, you can't risk not having it when you need it. So I guess we'll wait and see. I just kind of hope the cooldown's lower, the UI is matching, so it's 50% increase for both Ana and Wuyang, hopefully, and hopefully it doesn't break Wuyang, because you know, Overwatch isn't exactly the bastion of good balance. But I look forward to trying it out. So, Rushing Torrent, we're on to his movement ability now. Now, this one is a little odd for me, because in the gameplay trailer, it doesn't look spectacular. Though I am a fan of this, I think Overwatch has had a lot of mobility creep over the years, and I think having a character with partial mobility, but not, like, centralized mobility, in the sense their kit revolves around their ability to leave or escape fights based on their mobility options, is strong. I like that Wuyang has a movement option, but it's weaker, at least from what it looks like in the gameplay trailer. It might turn out to be way weaker than it looks like. It may turn out to be way stronger than it looks like. There's no way to know for now. But for me personally, I'm not sure if this is the kind of movement ability a character like Wuyang needs, because so far from what I've seen, it doesn't look like he's going to be a character that loves off-angling all that much, which means I don't know if he needs that kind of escape ability. For example, the more aggressive a character is, the more likely they are going to need an escape ability to make them balanced, because otherwise, if you have a character that's centralized around being aggressive, but they don't have any aggressive options, because of the fact that if they do make an aggressive option, they won't be able to get out of it, it doesn't make the character very interesting. So for Wuyang to have this kind of mobility, you kind of want him to have a similar level of aggressiveness to occupy an off angle, or to pressure backline, or do something that would put him at a little bit more risk to justify this level of mobility. Is it a lot? I don't know. Is it going to be enough to escape dive? I'm not sure. It looks fine to me. I especially like the jump at the end of it. That adds a little bit more of a dynamic, where you may get movement tech where you wait till the very end of your wave thing to jump, and that's maximizing your amount of movement. And then you might have do where you tap the movement ability and instantly jump to get like a big pop of vertical mobility or something. There's a lot of different ways you could utilize this kind of mobility, and it's fun because it doesn't look like it's going to be something where it's just press button, get away from someone. I think it's going to be more of a, I need to get somewhere, I'm going to use my mobility to get that place I need to be. That's more interesting mobility to me than, oh shit, I'm in danger, I need to press my mobility option. So the wave torrent, whatever it's called, actually excites me. I look forward to trying it. I look forward to playing against it, especially. What is the level of dive needed to follow a hero after he's used this? How survivable is he before and after he's used it? There's no way to know until obviously the gameplay comes out and you're able to actually try him yourself. But I'm excited about this level of mobility because there is so much mobility creep in the game. So even though he's got a mobility option, which I'm not a huge fan of, I am at least glad that it doesn't look disgustingly broken in the trailer. So on to his ultimate, Tidal Blast. Protect an ally or yourself with water that detonates after a short duration. The explosion knocks down enemies and massively heals the host target. So it looks like when you give the ult to someone or yourself, it gives you about 400 overhealth. That seems like quite a lot, but I don't think you get any damage mitigation with it or anything, so maybe it's fine. Maybe it's gonna try to simulate some kind of like damage mitigation with the overhealth to make it so you don't just see the guy get ulted and then go, alright, we'll just shoot that guy to death, and then you don't get any value from the ult. So maybe the overhealth is gonna be necessary, but it does seem like a lot in the trailer. Or actually, I think it's I think it is about 400, which seems fine. I don't know how much damage the ultimate is gonna do, and I don't know the knockdown duration. I would assume it works a bit like Sigma's Accretion, where there's a big rock where when he hits, you burst Wuyang ult, it just knocks people down a bit, like maybe like a Rhine Shatter or something like that. All this is really going to depend on is the amount of damage that it does. Because to me, this is a very interesting ultimate. I like that you can use it on yourself. I like that you can use it on anyone that you want to give it to. I like that it's got more than one use case. It's not just an all-in, go and send it. It's also partially a survivability tool because you are getting some degree of overhealth. Is it the right amount? I don't know. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. But so far, everything about this ultimate, to me, is interesting. It's big, it's visual, it's easy to see, it's easy to understand. As long as it's not doing something ridiculous like 150 damage, 200 damage or something, I reckon it's going to be pretty fun. I can imagine it being a good anti-dive tool where it's, oh, I've got Wuyang ult, wait for dive, they commit onto you, you pop Wuyang ult, you immediately burst, knock a tracer down, and your team jumps on her and kills her. That seems like a pretty interesting dynamic. So far, he's looking like he might end up being an anti-dive hero with his ult especially, which seems pretty interesting. I like the concept of having an anti-dive hero. It's just about the application of how they become anti-dive, if you know what I'm saying, right? If it's the kind of anti-dive where it's just, no, you don't get to do that, that's boring. But if there's some kind of dynamic to it where you're using ult for it, or you're burning a cooldown that's got multiple applications on it, like an Ananade, how Ananade can be partially anti-dive in some scenarios where if everyone ults in on the Ana, an Ana can get a fat nade and that may end up being enough for a team to counter-dive or whatever it may be, right? There is some kind of interesting dynamic that goes along between the person getting dove and the person obviously dealing with the dive. So far, Wuyang seems like an anti-dive character, but not a lame one, an actual interesting one. I like the way his left clicks work, as long as they don't have aimbot on them. I like the way his healing works. That seems like interesting kind of thing where it's passive, but also you've got proactiveness of where it goes, a bit like a triage healer, a bit like kind of what Mercy should have been almost. And then obviously, yeah, his ultimate looks really fun as well. I can see it going really hard with something like comboing with other ultimates. Like, for example, if you give it to a Genji with Dragon Blade, could the Genji dash in with Dragon Blade, pop Blade, burst the Wuyang ult to knock the Ana down so he can't get slept, and then kill Ana? Can you get like a combo like that? Or maybe you go for like a different kind of Beyblade, Reaper wraiths in, pops Wuyang ult to knock people down, and then blossoms. Or maybe you could have a Tracer blinking behind a Reinhardt, Wuyang ult pops, knocks the Rhine down, enemy Rhine hits a big shatter. There's a lot of dynamic play with this. It looks really interesting. I'm actually really excited to see how the higher level teams get to use this ability, see what the applications are for it. It really just depends. A lot of the fun is going to come from if the ult has to be popped by Wuyang or it can be popped by the person that is that has it. Do you know what I mean? Like in this clip here, is the Reaper bursting that, or is the Wuyang doing it? Is it timed? Like, is it something where you can't do it yourself, it just happens on its own? Or is it a case that you have the option of when it bursts? You know, there's so much that we don't know. But what I'm hoping for is you can choose when you burst it, and whoever has the ultimate casted on them chooses when it happens, not the Wuyang. If it's a case where this Reaper here is able to choose when to burst that Wuyang ult, that's going to be way more interesting. I look forward to trying Wuyang. I'm actually very optimistic about this hero release. I'm usually pretty not optimistic about it, but in terms of design, it looks very fun. It doesn't look like it's got any cheese. It doesn't look like it's got any bullshit. The numbers don't look egregious or anything. I'm genuinely excited for Overwatch's new Chinese twink. I love you all. I hope you have a good day. Mwah. Mwah. Eat some delicious food. Goodbye. Goodbye. Have a good day. Goodbye. Goodbye.